Hello, Mr.
Hey,
Jerwin.
hello, Mr. Oliver Damien. How are you?
It's been a while.
It
Good.
has. Oh my
Uh,
gosh, time flies. It's like every time we do this podcast, a couple of months go by.
it feels like years, and I always find it weird when people ask, "How are you?" It's if you answer it honestly, it's hard to answer because
It is. Yeah.
everything's happening at the same time.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, it's always that response, the automatic response is good.
Mm.
And it is the tone of the good. Oh yeah, it's good. Oh,
Good,
it's good. It's good. Like, it's
good.
it's interesting how like you
What
have to
if you
really
actually go? Do you really want to know?
yeah, do you actually want to know?
Do you have half an hour of your time to listen to really know how I am?
Do you want to, yeah, do you want to spend your energy on actually hearing about XYZ, or do you actually just
Yeah.
set that automatically? Like
Is it
it's like
just a greeting or is it a real request for information or
yeah, just even on that topic, right? So I just
mm,
remembered listening to Dandi Pandi. Um, have you heard of him?
no.
Okay, so he's a monk. He was born in Australia, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but then he moved at the age of early 20s, and he became a monk, and he lived in
Mm,
the monk in the monastery, and then he is now an awesome entrepreneur. He talks about the study of focus and attention and
mm,
energy, essentially, and you can't
mm,
really create energy. Anyways, why I'm bringing this up now is because he talked about like when you go up to someone with energy vampires. So he talked about energy vampires are
mm,
people that really, I think we spoke about this a couple of podcasts ago. But he talks about energy vampires and all they do is suck the energy out of you, and they don't really,
mm,
add any, positive emotional value towards you. And so he talks of it as examples like when you see someone and that you know that they're an energy vampire, instead of saying, "Hey, how are you?" You don't really answer that question. You're like, "Okay," you're like, you answer it back, "Well, hey, it's a great day," and you sort of like don't really say, "How are you?" back, because if you ask them how they are
okay.
back, you're already inviting them to say negative and negative stuff, and really start that process of sucking that energy out of you. So it's interesting.
Great.
We can put it in the show notes if you want, but it's a great talk.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
That sounds I actually practiced that recently because I attended this it's like a 7 week, no, not 7 weeks, 7 day container.
seven, 7 week
7
container.
days. No, no. That's maybe
Okay.
that's a Freudian slip for the future because there is a 7 week container in New Zealand. But
Okay. So
anyway,
what did you do
let's
in the
see if I
seven
could.
days? Sorry.
It's like they're trying to bring back the temple arts back in the day where there's
Um,
initiation. Yeah, it was perfect. Like I hardly say some trainings are perfect, but this one felt pretty much perfect to me.
mm.
Like the
And what
the
constituted?
facilitators were good. They held the
Okay.
space. We were like 108 people together. It's big,
Oh wow.
but able to hold it, and I was really in the space, and it's pretty shamanic, you know. And yeah, I don't really want to talk about the details, but I just want
Mm,
to share my experience overall
mm.
because it's hard to talk about it because maybe in the future you want to take it and I don't want to spoil it for you.
You
And
want to spoil the experience?
also
Yeah.
there's a sequence and I can't just pull one,
Yeah.
talk about it without the whole thing, you know. And also it's impossible to describe these things because
Yeah.
it's not like it's not like a logical thing, you know. It's not like you can write it. I mean, you can write about your experiences, but you can't
Mm,
really convey it because it's very much in the body, you know.
mm. So how did you feel going in versus at the end of the experience of those 7 days? Did you feel like a massive change, or is it sort of,
Yeah, it's still cooking. That's
still
another
good,
reason like I hardly go into the deals because my thing is still
still processing it? Yeah.
going through my system. Even before it started, I felt it's like energy coming down and just I think this can help the world, and it's growing. It's with ISTA, and it's going big in the world, and
Mm,
it's so diverse. They have things running in Israel, in the US, in Europe.
hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, there's something about.
So how did you hear about? How did you like? What was the action point that made you want to do it for 7 days?
Well, I've been
Was it
active.
curiosity or is it like
No, I've been active in conscious spaces, and most of the
mhm,
people I interact with have done it, and they keep telling me
recommended?
about it,
Yeah.
and I keep ignoring them. Uh, and I said, "No, I don't have the money. I can't afford." The usual, blah blah blah. But then I felt this one was special, so I put myself on the waiting list.
Hmm.
Apparently, there's a long waiting list, and like a week before the thing started, I got the call from the organizer, and he said, "I'm fishing you out from the waiting list. This is the golden ticket. Do you want it?" And I told her, "Give me
Really?
30, give me 30 minutes, and I'll ring you back." And something just, yep. When the body knows, not the calculating mind, the body just said yes. And that the
So you're
call
feeling,
came in while I was doing this room attendant job at the Holiday Inn in Potts Point.
oh
I
my
think
gosh.
I was doing the Duna, and then this ring me, and then boom, and then I went to this boom. Just it's
Let,
so
let's
good when you make decisions like that. It's like,
yeah. Let's hold on a minute there. Okay, so last time we were speaking about no goal is the goal. Um and
okay.
but let's talk through that experience and then how it inevitably led you
Mm-hmm.
to an experience like what you just said right now, like working in a hotel. Um yeah, I reckon we should go down that path.
Digest that.
Yeah,
So I think last time I think one of the title, even the title of our episode was goallessness,
yeah.
and we both do experiments, and I've been experimenting with that, and I've now modified it a bit. Instead of describing it as goallessness, it's not being attached to the outcome
Mm,
and not expecting reciprocity
okay, so you're not really at getting attached to the reward that we sort of
or the
stress
outcome.
towards. Yeah, yeah.
And also, if I do anything, I'm not expecting whoever receiving that to give back.
Does
So
that mean you fall in
the
love
no
with the process more?
commerce. Hmm?
Like the journey is more important than the outcome, essentially, the experience
Or
that you go through.
were this few ways I could say things about that.
Yeah.
One is there's I don't know if I sent you. I wrote something a while ago. It's from FOMO to Funktionslust. So fear of missing out is we all know
FOMO,
what that
yeah.
is. Yeah,
Working in the
that is
marketing space, I know
attached
that.
to yeah, and it's attached to the outcomes, right?
Yeah.
Like I have the Gucci watch. If I have it, it doesn't matter how I got it or like how I made the money. As long as they have the results. It's a bit like the protest thing. Like I read somewhere that it's a bit weird that in the Protestant work ethic,
Mm,
how did that happen? When according to their belief, if I got it right, is everyone's saved, but you just don't know who.
mm,
And somehow they link that if you're wealthy, then God must be favoring you, so then you're saved, and that
mm,
forced this people like the Americans or the Europeans who started the Protestant Reformation to be good at earning money, because
mm.
if you're rich, it's a sign you're the saved ones. It's an interesting
That is.
quirk. That's why it's a lot of people who built America are basically Protestant people who was escaping from various places in England, and they were really like
Mm.
the Puritans, and yeah.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
So that's one from FOMO. And Funktionslust is a German word where doing something for the love of doing the thing. So if I'm doing this with you because I like talking to you.
Yeah, you desire it, right?
It's
You
not
get something
because we're
from it.
doing this because I'm gonna sell you a course or I'm gonna.
No, yeah.
It's marketing. Doing the thing. Stuart Kaufman talked about this thing. Oh, let me try it with you. So you live in where do you live?
I wait, sorry, could you repeat that?
Where do you
Your
live?
network bandwidth is a bit low, Oliver, so I missed that last 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, where do you live?
In my house, in my home,
In Sydney? Or
in Mount Druitt.
yeah. So let's say Sydney, Greater Sydney area, right? So if you have a screwdriver in Sydney,
Yes,
can you tell me all the uses of a screwdriver?
all of it,
Mm.
like objectively speaking. I can use a screwdriver to fix parts of my car, um, fix my chair that's wobbling right now. Anything that has a screwdriver, essentially. I could also use it to, well, sell it to people. Um, I'm not sure which avenue you're trying to get from that. That's
So
sort
how
of the
do you
uses I
know
can.
how many uses? Because you could use it to stab someone, you could use it to
Oh,
for
okay.
fishing, you could sell it, you could
Oh no, okay. Well, it's infinite, isn't it?
is it infinite though? Because when you say
Um,
infinite, there's a formula. You know, like pi
um,
is infinite because you when you divide
the possibilities.
so if it's infinite, you know it's infinite because there's a formula that results in non-repeating. For example, with pi, it's non-repeating decimal places.
Yeah, yeah. I see what you mean.
But there's no formula. Is there a formula for the number of uses of a
No,
screwdriver
no.
in Sydney?
Then that's just saying is there a formula for how like subjective your mind can be? Because it's only the number that puts in your head you don't know because it's as the the idea comes out, it's sort of like, oh, what can I do with this screwdriver? Like I don't know, but it just comes out of my brain, my conscious,
No,
you know.
but this is real uses. It's not like so. That's why I ask if you're in Sydney. Let's say you're in outer space. The uses of the
Ah,
screwdriver there will be much more limited, right?
yep.
So the context,
Okay, I see what you mean. Okay.
yeah. So
Contextually.
what he's saying is the use of a screwdriver is indefinable at the start. You
Mm,
cannot define it when you start it.
yeah. Okay.
Whereas things that have formula, let's say the formula of is it velocity, like mass times acceleration or force, F equals ma. You could define it. That's why engineering you could compute even if you before you build the bridge, you can actually compute the stress.
Yeah.
You can predefine it. You can
You can redefine it. You
compute
can.
it in the plans
Yeah.
because there are
Yeah.
formulas.
Hmm.
But with this kind of thing, it's until you do it, you can never know.
Yeah.
And that's how
Yeah.
he calls it the adjacent possible. But it's not like everything's possible because you can't, for example, you can't use the screwdriver to time travel. So there's limitations.
Oh, can you?
It's not free for all. It's not
Yeah.
random. Context come together, makes things possible. It's a bit like
Mm,
the internet made Tinder
possible. Yeah.
possible or YouTube possible. You know, the
Mhm.
TCP/IP enabled all these things.
Yeah.
Without the internet, we wouldn't be doing this.
Exactly.
It could be another technology, but when you do something, it enables a lot of other things, and it just keeps on growing.
It's a
And the reason I'm
compound.
saying that is, yeah, unless we do stuff, I cannot predefine. I think it's an illusion to say I'm gonna predefine the outcome because if I do that, then I limit myself to this adjacent possible that's happening as I move through what I'm doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's interesting
Does that
because
resonate? Does that resonate? Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to
I,
convey sometimes.
I like to sort of put that example, for example, like your even what I'm doing at the moment, you know, I'm trying to get outside of my comfort zone, right? Like, and then what I know
Mm,
is what's limiting me essentially. In order for me to,
mm,
Jordan Peterson talks about this in his book Beyond Order, even in 12 Rules for Life, an antidote for chaos. He talks about the twin, right? You need enough order in your life to make sure that it takes that chaos, you know, and then same vice versa. But if you're too comfortable with what you're doing and your routine, or like if you want to learn something new, that's why it's so good to have a beginner's mindset. Because if you already have those values, like he has one is forget ideology. Because once you have those ideals, or if you once you have something that's so embedded into yourself, like you're not going to see um, what's outside, what's in the unknown, essentially.
mm,
So that's what I got from what you just said.
mm.
Like the moment you calculate or you predefine something, is the moment you're already limiting yourself to what can be, you know,
Yeah,
attained. It's essentially like um, how we experienced life when we first, you know, that's from childhood. You know, everything that didn't make sense.
mm. Oh, this is also good. I recently listened to this book called "How Emotions Are Made,"
Oh yes,
and
that's on
the
my list.
author talked about we construct emotional concepts,
Mm.
because the classical way is fear is and this is fear, and there's but she's saying it's individual.
Yeah.
We actually and we have concepts, and it's a bit like, in Tagalog
Hmm.
there's gigil. It has an equivalent in other languages. It's
It
very
doesn't. No.
Filipino.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you've frozen there, so I'm just gonna do that.
Learn it.
Okay,
It's a bit
you've unfrozen
similar.
now.
And
Okay.
it's a bit like in German there's Schadenfreude, which has become English now, where you feel good in someone's misfortune. So there's all these different emotional concepts in different cultures, and we learn them.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and it kind of freed me from, sometimes we talked about, I don't know if we talked about it before. I do suffer sometimes from depression, but now I could train myself. This is just a concept.
Yeah.
So so when so using words like triggered is not helpful, because it's saying that there's already a predefined mechanism in you,
Mm,
that if it's clicked like a domino, it's automatic. But now we're constructing emotions,
exactly.
that we
Yeah.
can really train. We could have new concepts to latch on our nervous system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like it's quite. It's a lot of, I don't know. It's weird because I've also been. I just, for some reason, it came up in my YouTube feed as well about this constructor theory in quantum physics. Just
Mm,
it seems that things are becoming more into the construction side of the world, more and more. Even memories, like it's not like we save a memory like in a hard drive.
like a hard drive. Yeah.
Every time I remember something, I recreate it, I construct it again.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So even with memory, right? Um, because I relate it back to Jordan Peterson's book because I just finished it like a week or two ago. He talks about trauma and memory and re-exploring your memories essentially, and just understanding that your memory that you have like in childhood can be so much different than what you want if you re-explore it in adulthood.
Mm.
So he had this um, cl- um, his client, and she was going through like a traumatic experience dealing with what she went through in her childhood. Now, I'm not going to name the experience, but he essentially went through it with her,
Mm.
and by her own. But then again, has to be by your own conscious, willing choice to explore it. You can't really force someone to acknowledge, you know, a problem that they have unless they're willing to. And this is what he did was sort of a mindful exercise, got it to breathe. This is why mindfulness is, and consciousness is so important, is that you start to, let's focus on the moment and get that thoughts on par. And then you sort of get them to recount it, recount that experience. And as they explore it on their own end with the new knowledge they've gained through, through adulthood and teenage years. So this person, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone that's going to read the book, essentially gain experiences through her teenage years and also through adulthood, which, help to reframe the memory that she had as a child, to really come to an acceptance and like, oh, okay, so this is what might have actually happened. So her memory as a child, and she didn't really want to think about it because this was something that was so, essentially speaking, traumatic. Like you don't want to look there because there's something bad there, but avoiding that will only make it grow in the dark. And then so he like, one of the rules was like, don't hide things in the fog. You wanna face the dragon head on, because at the end of the day, you look at any of the collective experiences, and even in movies, there's always a dragon, there's always a villain that the hero really, this is a hero's journey essentially from Joseph Campbell, right? That once you face that dragon willingly, you slay it, there's newfound knowledge to be gained from that experience. There's always a pot of gold to learn. And then that's the thing that this person learned from her memories, is that they're very subjective. They can be reframed, and you can understand them a lot more only if you're willing to, though. But yes, that's a little side.
Trauma is really when you, no, it's great. It's when you energy stuck there, but if you go back to it and you just complete the throw, then the energy gets released.
Exactly.
Which is interesting. Like I don't want to spoiler alerts. I won't say the specific, but this kind of thing about trauma is being explored in The Handmaid's Tale, the latest episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which reminds me, it's a lot of, I've started to collect some clips from TV that's about trauma. It's like a lot of them are now injecting this, like FBI, Clarice, and these things with this storyline. It's so good, but they do it in a way that's really well done,
creative.
I'm really like.
I'm gonna give you a book recommendation, Oliver, in terms of trauma and suffering, that I've read a couple of months ago, that talks about, that will probably be good for what you're doing, essentially. Have you read The Power of Suffering by David Rowland?
No.
Yeah, so especially in this guy, David Rowland, he's local, actually. He's from Sydney. He's a professor at University of USyd. And he is a psychologist that really looks into the nature of human suffering. So it goes through all of these traumatic experiences and recounts from actual, like, real survivors, and the trauma that they had to face through, and really the real ways they either tried to deal with that experience, or so I'm not going to say any spoilers for this one, but what you were saying just then, and in terms of like trauma, and even just in pop culture and movies nowadays, and TV, it's becoming a real source of entertainment, because everyone wants to, it really, I feel like it gets deep into your own roots, in terms of saying, like, you're interested in it, because it's sort of like, I don't think we're exposed to it enough nowadays, because we're so safe and comfortable, and we don't have that fight or flight response really evoked a lot anymore, because
I mean, they get evoked, but in a weird kind of way. Like they get evoked by public speaking, or worrying about your income, worrying about your Instagram feed. You know what I mean? They still get evoked, but in
the dopamine hits. I didn't get enough likes on this photo.
I got a bad comment, or
or
I'm being called out, or I'm being trolled.
Yeah, being trolled.
Even Jordan Peterson talks about how he's affected by that. He's
Yeah, yeah. Did you see that Red Skull thing? How Marvel made him sort of a meme in terms of the latest comic. They compared him
yeah.
to Red Skull.
It's funny. Like so many people don't like him, but he's just saying things that make sense to me. I really
Yeah.
don't get it.
Have you read his book, his latest edition?
No,
This one right here.
I've read the previous one, the 12 Rules, but
Okay.
not the new one.
If you like that one, this one is amazing. So please get on
What's
that.
your
I can.
main? All right, we can't do that. But just give me some. Oh, you already mentioned some of it, but maybe add one more. Yeah.
I added one in with don't hide things in the fog. Essentially speaking, like in a relationship that if you're in, or say anyone in the workplace, or just anyone that you interact with in your life, like don't try to avoid the things that are in the fog, whether it's your problems or like a habit that's being built. You really want to make sure once you're aware of it, that you're taking some small steps to really um, set yourself up to confront the dragon that
Mm.
lurks, or the monster that lurks in the shadows.
Mm.
Um,
Go where the fear is, or something.
go where the fear is. You have to, because um, if you don't, then it's better to know what's in the fog than to just go in there blindly. Essentially,
Mm.
that's all I'm going to say. But just my review on the book, like it's an awesome book. Like it's highly, like, there's a lot of Christian connotations in this book compared to 12 Rules for Life. Like he really relates on a psychological aspect, different aspects of the New Testament and Old Testament. And I really
Mm.
enjoyed that, because at the same time I was reading the Bible at the same time, and he was like really accounting for different sort of the different rules that he has. I'm not going to name all of them because it's a nice thing to not know them, and then that's how I tried to avoid spoilers as much as possible before I read this book. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's awesome rules in it, and I feel like top two rules would be the one: do not hide things in the fog, and then do not allow yourself to become deceitful, arrogant, or hateful.
Mm.
And then I won't really go into that because spoilers. But yeah, um, overall the book, like, it's a very serious tone. Like, it's not like you don't really get a crack a joke in it. Like you I laughed at a couple of things in the book, but that's because it's my subjective how I read it. Yeah.
So there's no lobster in the book.
Yeah. I actually wanted to talk about something interesting too. With Jordan Peterson, he had this sort of response to, like, if he believed in God.
Mhm.
Um, and then, like, really, like, he had this moment where he sort of froze, and he said, he have you seen the clip?
I act as if I believe in God. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's another one, I think it was separate to that, where he just freezes, and then he was like, he doesn't know how he would act if he did exist. Like, you could see, like, he was really like, and then I believe, like, he said that because, like, if you look at all of the gods in the history book, he was the only one that has really subjective and objective evidence that he existed. Like, the recounts of the Bible was, fundamentally, if you believe that it's true, you know. Um, but it really got me thinking too, because um, um, in our world, in our realm, right, it's everything is objective. Like, we use the five senses a lot to base our reality on it. But the other thing is consciousness, and subjective things that we can't really explain through the five senses. So, for example, I pick up this book, right? I can see it, I can smell it, I'm not going to lick it and taste it. I can touch it, I can feel it, I can use
You
all the
can.
five senses, I can listen to it. But you see here, like, I can see that there's text there, but how do I like read it? That's all subjective, right? And that's sort of how you can recount, like, the events of, you know, Genesis, and like the Old Testament, New Testament. Like there had to be a significant event such time ago that, because, like, look at all their history. It's the oldest book in history, and if they believed it that much and it's been recounted that much, there had to be something that started. So that's why I sort of I that really tripped me out when he said something like when I took that's what I took from what he said, and I was like, yeah, that is pretty.
But I think the Upanishads are older, or and the Babylonians
Yeah,
way back. They wrote other stuff, yeah, as well. Yeah.
yeah, but think
Um.
about it. That book, like the Bible, just it lasted so long. Like it outlasted like civilizations. Like how, you know? Anyways, that's sort of my thinking.
I mean,
Sort of had with that.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, there's also parts of it that they excluded, and I think those are. I've been listening to some people discuss the Gospel of Magdalene.
Ooh.
The more esoteric ones
Yeah. Okay.
that the church excluded because they didn't want. For some reason, they wanted celibacy. I don't know. They wanted Jesus not to have sex. It's so weird. I mean, if you're God and you're gonna live as a human, why would you forgo sex? It's
it's
ridiculous.
it's basically it's it's life, you know.
Yeah, why would you not experience it? Or how can you understand being human if you don't feel
Yeah.
everything? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's always happens. People are
Yeah.
afraid of this thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to we were sort of well, that was awesome. That was an awesome discussion. Go back to I really want to hear about what you've been up to. So for like those listening, you went from all these secure jobs, right? Just to recount, and now you're sort of just free, right? But in an aspect where you're like you're doing one. Let's talk about one and two. One is your acting gigs right now because yeah, I'm interested to see how your Netflix can I say anything like that, or is that still like you can't talk about it?
No, I
The
mean
Netflix TV
it's out
show.
there. It's out public info that it's being made here, but
Okay, good.
it's not out yet. So
Okay.
it's pieces of her. So, and yeah, I was an interesting experience. I was a
Yeah,
background
talk about.
actor in the pilot, so and it was an awesome experience because they were very professional. Everything in the set, there's so many things happening and so many
Yeah,
people, and each person knew what to do.
yeah.
It ran like a smooth organism. It's like so good. I wish
So,
more things in the world. I wish more things in the world work like that.
mm,
Where yeah. So I have high regards now for people who actually make TV shows. It's not easy because they're doing it quickly and they shoot every day and then you move because you move sets and the details, that they made this part of the Central Coast look like America.
mm.
It's ridiculous from the look, from the menu, from the vehicles, from the costumes. It's amazing.
Would you say they work transdisciplinary?
Oh yeah, yeah, man. Like
Little BCI
and
plug right there.
yeah, yeah, that's real transdisciplinarity. Like I don't know.
Well,
We did the course, but even the course we did, it's still wedded to the different disciplines. It's weird. I think
mm,
academics find it hard to get out of this thinking.
yeah, it's hard because you have to measure it. You have to measure like how do you grade or
Yeah,
or
like and also
facilitate
like
the learning journey of
there's
that.
politics involved. Like
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, you know what I mean.
fiefdoms within the academia. Some hang on.
Oh, good. Yeah,
I'm
because
reading this
this.
book.
Oh, look at that. I can't see it.
Ooh, I guess of the
That uh, technology. It's like you're holding what
it's
what?
disappearing. It's education in a time between worlds by Zachary Stein. It's an
Okay.
interesting. It's talking about actually most of the problems of the world can be solved by fixing education.
Mm.
Yeah,
Now I
it's
firmly believe
broken. It's
that.
broken.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the founding fathers of America noticed
Mm.
that if you want a democracy to work, you have to educate the people. because they're the
Exactly.
ones making the decisions. And
Mm.
if they're not educated, then they can easily be swayed by what's happening now everywhere, right?
You give them the power to know consciously what's, what's happening, to make decisions, take that info and really, make the right one, make the right decision,
Oh
obviously.
yeah, it's even beyond that. Don't poison the commons, which is what's happening now. They're politicizing science itself.
Mm,
Like a
mm,
virus is a virus. Why is it? How can a virus become political? Because I really don't like when people say everything is political. We don't want that. it's gonna
mm,
it's gonna ruin. It's gonna be the end of civil. It can be the end of life if we make everything political.
mm. But then again, right?
Yeah.
Like it's such a blessing. Well, not a blessing, but like it's so we're so lucky to have politics nowadays. You look 100 years or 200 years ago, like instead of politics, what is there? It's war. You know, if we didn't have that structure
No, but
there.
politics leads to war too. It depends
Yeah,
on
exactly. It's a
how do we
double-edged sword.
define.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
yeah,
double-edged sword. Oh,
yeah.
so how are you reading the book, or are you like halfway through it, or is that you finished it? Like, how is it? How is your experience with the book going
It's a
now?
series of essays, and I'm reading it slowly. And like now, I'm on the chapter where it talks about measurement. And measurement is key. And in the beginning, he talked about everything in your life involves measuring. Like when you wake up, the clock.
Yeah,
Everything in this room has was made to standards,
yeah.
gauges, and but
Mm.
it's also it
Oh,
it makes us enjoy things in life, but in a way it can also oppress people, like the people
mm.
who made this in the factory somewhere had
Yeah,
are making it to standards. And I realized that, like when I did this the cleaning job with
yeah.
these people, the beautiful thing with that experience is I actually resigned from that now, but while I was doing it, I really enjoyed one. I got to interact with people I would not normally meet because they're outside
Mm.
my usual circles. That was
Yeah.
really good. Two, I really got an appreciation of the working class.
Mm.
These people, we just go there, we do it, and then we go home. Whereas when I was in corporate, there's a lot of posturing.
Mm.
And here it's like, it's either I can, when in hotels you do the sheet that's really flat,
Yeah.
and then you put the duna. So either I can do that or not.
Mm.
I cannot argue with the bed. I cannot do politics with the bed. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you have to be
It's either it
straight
gets done or
because
it doesn't. Yeah.
you're left or you're right. I cannot do it physically or not.
Yeah.
There's a beauty in that.
Yeah.
There's a
So,
certain objectivity. You're talking about that. It's hard to be subjective when you're when you're banging against solid objects.
yeah.
When you're in the realm of atoms, it's a
Yeah.
different world than when you're in the realm of bits.
Mm.
It's easy to confuse people in the realm of bits because it's all fantasies. It's all, but when you hit real limits of physics,
Yeah. It's like a sort
there's
of that
something
example. I saw
beautiful
a
about
meme.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a meme on Twitter where it's just a gif of like a guy just punching his computer screen because he lost everything from the big crypto crash. It's like, you know, it's your value of the money is on that screen, but like, objectively, like, smash the screen. What's that gonna do? It's
Did you get into this crypto craze?
yes, I did put
Ah,
a couple of XYZ on Ethereum and another one on XRP because I was really just curious
how
essentially.
was the
I did make a
experience
bit
for
of
you?
I did make a bit of money, then I did lost money, and then I made money back, and then now I don't even look at it. I just leave it there. Just as an experience, right? Of just crypto. It's interesting. It really challenges like your own like your own behavior and your like greed and like you're willing to test like um of your awareness of it. Because in I remember in second year BCII, I think, or first, do you remember Joe?
Yeah.
Shout out to Joe Mendozona. I remember just seeing him in class with his Mac in one of the BCI summer schools. And he was like, I'm like, what are you doing, bro? He's like, I'm mining Bitcoin, bro. I was like, what? What's Bitcoin? He's like, yeah, you should invest in it. You should get some Bitcoin. Like, I reckon it's going to be huge. And I was like, the hell are you talking about? Cryptocurrency? And he's like, yeah. And I remember talking to Angelo Gajo about it. And he's like, I don't know, dude, that looks so sketch. something similar. And then yeah, he told us essentially to like put money on it. And if we listened to him, he was at like, I don't know, like $25.
I wonder if he cashed out already. Because until he
Yeah,
cashed out,
I should
it's still
really, I'll message him. I want to have a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was
Mm.
literally mining it. He was like the first person I even heard of like what crypto was. So I'm wondering how he's going on that with that right now. Yeah, he had that mindset that yeah, this is going to be huge,
I
and so
mean, I heard about it way back. It's become
although you've lagged, so I'm just going to try to copy your I'm going to lag too.
this is what happens when you talk about crypto. The internet freezes you.
uh, that's some scary stuff. But I think it's because I have my Google connected. My Google what do you call it? What's that? No, I've completely gone mind blank. What's that Google device that talks to you? I
Hey
forgot what. Huh?
Google,
Sorry.
see
Yeah. What's it called?
it.
What's it called?
Hey Google,
Hey Google, what are you called?
Okay. I'm your Google Assistant. I can help with exchange rates.
Look, it's talking about exchange rates while I was just
hey
talking about
Google,
crypto.
who are you? Hey Google, who are you?
I'm your Google Assistant, and I can play Lucky Trivia with you.
But did you see that thing, experiment where they were talking about something with Google listening, and then they started getting ads about it? It's interesting. Yeah. Mm, mm. Anyways, what were we talking about? Because oh yeah, yes, your hotel job.
Yeah. So so that finished, and you were asking me about why I'm doing this is
Yeah,
it's an experiment in anti-fragility.
anti-fragility.
So there are things that are fragile.
Hmm.
What's the opposite of fragile? So things that are fragile is if I'm gonna send like a
Tough,
vase to the
tough.
Philippines, I have to say fragile,
Yeah.
handle with care, so
Hmm.
that it doesn't break.
Yeah.
So what's the opposite of fragile?
This,
Hmm?
this,
What do you call that?
durable, strong,
Robust, durable.
robust, durable, robust.
It's not
Yes.
actually the opposite because
Oh, really?
if it's something's robust, you just don't write or durable. You don't write anything because
Yeah.
if you send it, it will be the same.
Hmm.
But the opposite of fragile is anti-fragile. If
Oh,
it's anti-fragile, you're right. Please mishandle me.
yeah.
So in
What?
Nassim Taleb wrote this book, and it's an amazing book. I read him way back with Black Swan, Fooled by Randomness, and then he wrote this thing called anti. He invented the word because there's no word in English. This is the opposite of fragile. And the way a good explanation is mythology. So
Hmm.
fragile is the sword of Damocles. It's
Oh,
a
yes.
sword hanging by the hair
Hmm.
of a horse.
Yeah.
So if that breaks, you're dead.
dead. Yeah.
So in a way, Nassim also said, there's nothing more dangerous than and addictive than heroin and a monthly salary. And it's fragile because once you lose your job and you've loaded all your lifestyle in this salary and it's cut off, you break.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, that happens. The other, the middle is robust. It's like the phoenix.
Yeah.
You kill it, it becomes the same again. You kill it, it's the same. Antifragile is hydra. You cut one head and then two comes up. It
Oh.
actually becomes better up to a certain point. And when you were showing your muscles, he did discover that a lot of biological things is antifragile. You actually need to stress our bones.
To grow.
Yeah, like if you go to space, your bones atrophy because it's not getting the. So in terms of income, people who have variable income and able to survive for years are becoming antifragile because we can swim in the volatility. I mean, it's not easy because like if you panic, you have to keep on making small bets.
Yeah.
And then eventually one of these little bets will pay off. And then that sustains you for a longer period and keep making, it's like keep going to auditions and once in a while you go on a Bonds ad. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the losses are capped. Whereas the opposite is like during the GFC, the insurers who were insuring the derivatives, they were getting fixed income from the insurance premiums, but then their losses are uncapped. So when the subprime mortgages collapse, because they were collecting the premium, they were very fragile.
Yeah.
But Silicon invested some small money in startups in America. If I invested 10 grand, for example, or 100, but if that company becomes the next Google, then you know what I mean? Like, so it's the anti-fragile strategy is to have your losses fixed, but then the upside, and but the upside so that you can ride the black swan of the upside. So the unknowns. It's basically going to the unknown for
on purpose, consciously,
exponential.
right? Oh, I lost you again for 5 seconds.
So anyway, if you play crypto right, I mean, if you played crypto right, you could just, if you don't get, you could just have a. One thing I don't like about it is when it eats up all your time, when everyone's just reading, and I don't know.
Because you have to do a lot of research on the coin.
What skill do you?
Sorry?
Yeah, or even stock market. I don't find it exciting because I'm not developing real skills.
Yeah, it's sort of I mean, there is skills to be developed from it. You can learn how to really diversify what you have, and then you sort of look at the trends. It's all guessing, and then you don't really develop. It's essentially
unless you're programming. If you're making a coin, that's another thing.
Yeah, unless you're programming, getting the code. What was Joe doing? Bloody mining the Bitcoin. But even what you said about anti-fragility, I'm gonna relate it back to an experience that I've just been having the past month or so. I've been doing, I've did the Wim Hof method, but I've been doing it wrong. Okay, so I've been reading this book, and it's like, I'm just gonna go through some of the findings that I learned from it. But basically, you think of Wim Hof, the first thing you hear is what? Like, what do you know about ice bath?
I've done it a few times. Yeah.
It's amazing, right? And you consciously making yourself, anti-fragile in that aspect when you jump or you consciously decide, hey, I'm going to have a cold shower. Because, you know, you consciously want to stress yourself in that aspect, you know, and you're making yourself anti-fragile in the aspect. Now I'm going to go through what he talks about in the method or in his book. So a little bit of spoilers, but not really. When you take a cold shower, right, what happens is within you, essentially, what Wim found out is you have your vascular system, right? You have millions and millions of little tiny muscles contracting, expanding. But because we wear clothes now, because we are so comfortable with heaters, we're so comfortable with with all these what do you call it, comforts, that we've actually become weaker in the aspect of, autoimmune diseases are one of the most number one killers, essentially, anything to do with autoimmunity. And it's because we become fragile to it. We don't really stress ourselves in nature anymore. Like, but what a cold shower essentially does is, well, I'm not saying jump in a cold shower now, but maybe you should do it. Is, it forces you to breathe. It activates your vascular system, millions everywhere. You don't really have time to think, like, because all you want to do is you want to breathe, you survive. But then something amazing happens at the end of that cold shower. You come out and you're like, whoa, you feel mentally, it's so much different. Like, so if anyone's listening right now, number one thing that I want everyone to do is like at least 30 seconds of shower after a warm shower. You'll guaranteed 100% you'll feel a big difference.
Yeah, I do that. And today I went to, we were chatting at 5 a.m. because I went to Maroubra to dance in the cold.
Really?
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God. I literally
to
just came out
feel
of a
the
cold shower
wind, to
before.
feel the wind, and
Yeah.
oh,
Just
to be in the elements.
to bring out that anti-fragility, right? To work those, to just do something outside of the ordinary and really, okay, what was the number one motivation for you to wake up at that time when everyone else would rather sleep in, and it was so cold this morning, like when you wake up, and then you went to the beach to just.
Yeah, and I took and I don't drive. I don't have a car at the moment. I do drive, but I don't have a car at the moment. But I took 2 buses to get there as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you do essentially?
So this time it was my playlist that was playing. We just play the thing, and we just dance on the rock in Mistral Point.
So did you see the sunrise as it was going up?
As I was on my way. Yeah. It's beautiful, the sunrise.
And then, so what did you dance in? Just like in shorts?
No, I was in like this, but then it gets hot, and then you remove.
I thought when you first said it, I was like, we're full Wim Hof way, just full in your undies, like dancing in the bloody.
I mean, you could do it. Some people were swimming. I saw them in the pool, in the rock pool.
Oh wow!
Yeah, people do that here in Mossman. People in the morning they go on the beach.
So what was the one desire for you to do that? Like, what is it? Like, obviously, there was something pushing you to wake up, 1, at that time, 2, get out of bed, which is the probably hardest part for everyone else, and then 3, catch 2 buses to get there by X time. Like, what was that? Like why?
I mean, to me, it's not a problem because I don't have a 9 to 5 job. So,
yeah.
And time on the bus, I listen. Either I listen to podcasts or audiobook.
But like dancing there, right? Like, what did you feel?
Dancing it's just so. It's just a good.
Because you connected to that, right?
Yeah, and dancing really. So I do dancing, and after the dancing, we actually also did singing lessons over Zoom.
Yeah.
So all these things regulate my nervous system.
There you go. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, this is something about regulate. It's like another thread we could follow the polyvagal theory, where we have this neuro weather. The vagus nerve goes from the top to the bottom, and it's to be aware: am I in flight mode or in freeze mode, or am I
in creative? Yeah.
And Antifragile, where it's social and
Yeah.
connecting. Like
Yeah.
when I did the Wim Hof in one of the festivals, my singing teacher was there, and she was singing with me, and I said it's impossible to get cold if you're singing because you're regulated. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
sing if you're frightened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my experience with the ice bath is like my body thinks it's gonna die, but
Hmm.
then I know it's only for 2 minutes. So
Yeah.
it's really talking to my body that it's okay. You're not gonna die. I got you. Same with yoga. When you do all these weird poses, like this is I can break my bones or this is not comfortable. But then I tell my body, no. If you stay enough, it will be good. It's like the
Yeah.
dialogue with your body, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like essentially what.
And with the method, I think the breathing helps a lot. It's like by the
Mm,
time we went to the ice, we've been heavy breathing, doing all this breathing that the cells are saturated with oxygen, right? And like,
yeah. And you're literally controlling like but this is what was so groundbreaking from Wim Hof's point of view, right? Is that breathing technique that he discovered is like we have our conscious, our mind, we have the ability to, you know, tell our body, tell ourselves, like to even it was just science breaking too as well. Like this scientist, they thought he was like a skeptic. You know, when he first started, everyone would have, right? And it's like, oh, and then it turned into um it turned into him being, oh, well, maybe he's just one of a kind, right? And
mm,
then it came to him leading a group of individuals through ice cold mountains
mm.
that they started to realize he's onto something here, you know. But yeah, walk through that. Like, how was it? How did it feel? Like, take us through the moment you decided to go into that ice bath, and then what were you feeling, and then how did you feel afterwards? Like, what was your like objective experience with that?
Oh yeah, it's like when I went in, the body I felt like pins and needles, you know,
Mm,
everywhere. But then I
yeah,
just breathe and I just let it. You know, it's a bit like you know, in the June novels, it's like the Bene Gesserit have this litany against fear. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I will
yeah,
face my fear and let it pass through me. And when it has gone through, nothing, only I will remain. You know, so it's a
yeah.
bit like that. It's like this will pass, and when it's done, I will remain. And then
Mm.
I just didn't move, and then until they brought me out, and then we did the movement, and then we jumped into the river naked. So it's good. It was a
But you
clothing optional event.
you must
So.
have felt so alive, right? Like in that moment, there's no
Yeah.
other feeling that you'd be thinking of. You're just sort of like it times like what I feel when I do that stuff is like time literally stands still. Like I remember the first time
It's
I
a
took
flow
an ice
state. It's
bath,
a flow
it's like
state. It's like
literal flow state, right? It's like
yeah,
yeah, and all
Csikszentmihalyi,
your
you know, they
worries.
have
The first time I did it, it's like all my worries just disappeared, like that, you know. And then I feel like every time I've been doing it now, like 4:40 in the morning, like
mm,
just taking straight cold shower. Like I started obviously like you start warm and then you go 30 seconds and you start to build the tolerance from it because the shock starts to disappear over time. And that what happened is you're becoming anti-fragile, as you said. Over time, your body starts getting used to the
mm,
shock. It starts, you know, getting developed from that. And then out of nowhere, you'll get to a point where it's sort of like even the elite of elite is probably Wim Hof. Like he's been doing it for 25 years. That is crazy. But yeah, it's like we are like limitless in it in terms of our potential. Like if you might set your mind to doing something and consciously like set and face, you know, what's in the fog, face that dragon, face your, you know, and not becoming fragile to where not even using it. Like it's like even just going to the gym for me. It's sort of like if you don't use it, you lose it, right? Um,
yeah.
yeah,
And the book, one of the other books I'm listening to now is Stealing Fire by Jamie Wheel and I forgot this other guy's name.
Healing Fire by Jamie
And they talk
Wheel.
about yeah, and they talk about the these states, you know, this flow states, and where it's timeless,
Mm,
effortless.
yeah.
It's like how do we get to the extreme human potential? And like
Mm,
in the beginning chapters, they talk about the Navy SEALs, the elite Navy SEALs.
mm.
because they wanted to be objective in a way. So they looked at how much is spent in training these people. It's
Mm.
ridiculous. Like one Navy SEAL is like millions of dollars in
Yeah.
equipment and training, and you filter people. But at the end of the day, what they value with these people is when they become one organism. Where like
Mm.
it's an amazing. If we could just adopt this in like they have dynamic leadership. So like when you're apparently when you're moving in when you're in a mission, so these are the elite amongst. So the Navy SEALs are already elite among
Elite
the
itself, yeah.
military, but this is the elite among the Navy SEALs, and they're the ones who have to rescue hostages and have them alive.
Mm.
So not the skilled people, but extract them when they're guarded by all these people. So apparently they have like dynamic leadership where whoever has the most knowledge is the leader. So there's not like ranking. It's like they're one organism, and so they go into this state where the self disappears. It's a bit like
Yeah.
when you do the eyes.
Yeah.
Like my ego disappears, and I'm just part of this one team. And that's why they from day one they have swim buddies.
Mm.
And the rule is never leave your body.
But
Whatever
even,
happens, you keep them because that's where they're training. Because in really extreme situations, you, there's no time to think. There's no time to talk.
mm.
It must be like split, and the only way to do that if you're not panicking, you're not conscious of, oh, am I doing the right thing? It's when and I had my eyes closed and
I love how I've lost
had
you.
this.
Last 5 seconds. You're frozen on my screen. Can you hear me?
My okay.
You're like frozen on my screen, and it's funny. It's sort of like you're like dancing. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Oliver is the host now. I can see your profile picture, which is pretty cool. You still here?
I'm back. I can
Okay.
hear you and see
Yeah.
you turn on your.
I like that picture you have, like going within. What was that photo?
What do I? What was it? What do I
You have
have?
like you have
I
a
don't
photo.
see.
You're in nature. You have a robe of some kind on your head, and you're like closed, and your eye. Your if you can see me, like your hands like this, and you're like within. It's like a full high res
Ah,
pic of it. It's cool. Pretty cool.
cool. I can't
Uh,
see you. Let me see.
hold on. Okay. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so you were talking about the Navy SEAL
Yeah.
program, and then they were stuck. You know, they
Yeah.
stay in Jewel, never leave behind. That's the last thing I heard.
Yeah, and then it's really about this state where the stuff is not there. And I think I talked about that. I don't know if I talked about that in the past where Osho also said that like everything is when I am not. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And they also talk about they Eric this Burning Man with them. It's like all these cool stories. So,
Have you heard of? You probably have heard of him, David Goggins.
yeah, only in the Akira the Don, he clips all these people speaking, including Jordan Peele, makes them into music, and David
Yeah,
Goggins is there. It's really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He I haven't read the book, but I heard it's really good. It's on my to read list. It's called "Can't Hurt Me" by David Goggins. Basically, I feel like it's good for as a theme if we were talking about anti-fragility.
Yeah.
As a concept, he would be like a pioneer for it, because this guy set records, and he's been through the Navy SEAL program multiple times. It's so hard to pass it once. He's done it through multiple variants, and he's been called the hardest mother in the room, like essentially. Like so I'll like send you a few clips and podcasts of him, but he talks about his experiences in the Navy SEAL, how he really navigated all of that, and like his past, etc., etc. He's such an interesting fellow. So if you haven't heard of him, I 100% guarantee you'll enjoy his story and just what he has to say, because it's very, yeah, it's like he's got high energy. He's that sort of high energy person that sort of and it sort of
Yeah, I
grasps.
heard him in some of those clips. It's really, and also
Yeah.
Jocko Willing, another person
Oh
who's
yeah,
in Iraq. So yeah. It's to
yeah.
learn about being in extreme
Conditions.
situations and
Yeah.
extreme states, and how people don't lose their shit, you know.
All right, I think we should end it there, Oliver. Like it's been so insightful, and it's
Yeah.
like I'm looking at the time now, and I'm like, oh, like it didn't feel like it went for that long.
How long have we been going?
I think we started at probably an hour and something. We'll see it in the
All
recording.
right.
Um,
It felt like we were just starting. Amazing.
yeah.
We weren't slow.
But yeah, thanks for I learned so much from that, and hopefully you did too, and
Do it
of course
again.
everyone
Yeah.
listening as well. Did you want to end it on anything? Did you want to speak about anything before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I just want to, perhaps say, if let's do it. You know, everyone should just see how far we can extend the human potential, because I think it feels to me that there's a lot of critical people that all
Yes.
they do is try to criticize thing, or it'd be cool if you could just have this comment. And I think that the days of that it's becoming boring now, where all you
Yeah.
could do is trying to bring that then called. I mean, let's just go forward and see where we could take this human experiment, you know.
Yeah.
It's becoming boring just being critics of everything. Oh, it's all about the system. But what is the system? It's made of people. If all people are good, then there's no. If not, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree
I
with
guess
that.
it's I guess it's a call. It's a call for more excitement, possibilities, instead of
Yeah.
instead of people talk about boundaries. You cross boundary, but it's good to keep the boundary and protect your boundary. But I'm also wanna see people talking about horizon. What's possible? What's
Yeah.
the infinite game? We keep coming back to that. You know,
Yeah. But
what's there that's never been done before? You know,
yeah, like
the
even that, like
horizon.
what can you do right now that like will really shake things up? Like I think a lot of people nowadays, we're getting so used to routine, and
Yeah.
like even it's all a system, like what your values are, and like and just spending your energy. Like we started the session today, like we're talking about like like how are you going, like and the response is good, but like really even just starting with that question, like where's your energy, where are you spending all your energy at? Is it like criticizing it, or is it like it's good to criticize something, if you wholeheartedly know that like something's wrong, by all means you're supposed to defend that. But like if it's something that's not, don't become an energy vampire.
That's true. Don't. I mean, be a cool vampire. Word.
Yeah, don't suck everyone's like energy out of
Yeah.
it.
Or vampire Lestat and
Yeah.
all this interesting space. Dracula was cool. Anyway,
Sorry?
that's another story. You know the movie Dracula with
Oh, yes.
and Winona Ryder. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's a
But
good
don't
point.
be a vampire. Don't
Don't-
shock.
And
Create
next time
more
you say,
energy instead
how are
of
you going to someone? Next time you say how you going to someone, like actually, like, you know, start with a different question. Like, what's exciting? Like, that's what I love talking to you, Oliver, because you always start with a question I don't know. Like, when we haven't talked in months, it feels like we just spoke yesterday. You know, that's awesome. And I learned so much from your experience. I feel like I'm learning it like at an accelerator rate. You know, and then that's
Yeah.
amazing. Really.
I'm happy in Doug because both reading stuff on our own, but it only comes face, you know,
Yeah, it connects and then sort of
because it gets pulled
meaning.
out. It gets
Yeah.
pulled out. You throw back to me.
Yeah.
I have more books to read from your recommendations. And
All right. Well, on
how
to
about you? What
sorry.
do you want to say to end? I'm done.
Okay.
Maybe you wanna tie Devin this one.
I'd say whether it's a cold shower or waking up earlier or whichever, don't become that person that says, you know, oh, I want to do that. That'd be cool to do that and not do it. Like, don't get too, like, become aware that you're too comfortable, but like, you know, challenge yourself. Go a little bit outside of what you're comfortable with. You know, start building that anti fragility for yourself, right? Like for me, you don't have to do it, but I recommend it. Wim Hof method, like breathing and simple cold shower can really drastically change. Like very rarely has a book affected me this much, or not even just a book, but like a method. But like Wim Hof, like the cold shower, like try if you haven't had taken a cold shower before, even if it's winter or summer, wherever you're listening from, just try it. 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, you can decide, oh, I like this or I don't like this. But I guarantee you, like, you're gonna like it. Like, don't go back to hot shower. But yeah, that's so. Yes, that's all I have to say. Take a cold shower. Or what the
Awesome.
boss says, breathe, motherfucker.
All right, bro.
All right.
Awesome.
Catch you guys
Thanks.
later.
Yeah.
Catch us on our socials and yes,
Yeah. Message us or something. I don't know.
connect. See you in
Do stuff.
the digital realm.
Yeah. All right, man. Good stuff.
All right. Thanks, Oliver. That was